What's going on, traders? Welcome back to another pre-market watch list here today. What we're going to be going over today is going to be the stock PLTR. We're going to take a look at pretty much every single penny stock that has been running today pre-market. We'll also take a look at NVDA, and then towards the end of this video, I will cover the major indexes like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ for those of you that have been commenting wanting me to go over those as well. So I'll save the indexes for last, and then I'll cover what it is we're actually going to be looking at today. So that being said, our play for the day right now is currently the stock PLTR. So this is a position that we had entered yesterday right here. All right, so I can actually put these trades on for you real quick, and I'll show you what it looks like. If it populates, sometimes it doesn't work. Nah, that's annoying. So for whatever reason, it's not showing the trade, so that sucks. But anyways, we were entering long PLTR yesterday. After we had this bullish move towards the end of the day, we started entering long, in this consolidation zone, anticipating an overnight gap and swing to the $24.65 price to close to $25. So what we're looking at today is for PLTR to reach prices of about $24.65. And if I show you where this is all coming from, it will start by looking at the daily chart. If we look here at the daily chart on PLTR, PLTR has gone through this really nice move. There was a lot of hype, a lot of momentum. Everybody kind of got sucked into this new IPO frenzy. So the stock runs all the way to $33.50. Then it crashes from $33.50 all the way down to a low of $21. And if you look at the trending move, we had it go up. It broke through the white line, which is trend, all the way up to the green line. It's just resistance. And then it fell all the way back down to trend. So when the move had come all the way back down to trend, we knew there was a good chance that we should be getting long. We've had 1, 2, 3 red days and then a gap down into our trending support. So yesterday we decided to get long. And we picked the targets of 24.60s and like 24.50s and 25 because if you look at this little dash line, that's in the middle. So we'll put a line here at that dash, which is like 24.59, 24.60. And then we also look at the 4-hour chart, and we're going to see that you have a level right here at 25.15. So essentially, we are trading the bounce after we sold down to trend, the 9 moving average. We buy the dip and look for the move to retrace back to our intermediate resistance trends, which are around 24.25. So if I'm correct, we should play up close to the 24.50 zone, and we should be able to close out the long position. So if you're watching PLTR, there's a good chance we see a little long move up to the 24.65 price, and then overall, I think we might start to trend back down. So just a short overnight bounce play with PLTR with targets of like 24.60s. Next thing that I will discuss is the stock NVDA. So NVDA is going to be something that we pay attention to today. Overall, the stock looks bullish. We've been consolidating sideways, if you want to call it a bull flag or a pennant, whatever you want to call it, however you see it, that's fine by me. But overall, it does look bullish. So before we continue with NVIDIA, just look at what happened to AMD recently. AMD ended up breaking to the upside. AMD and NVIDIA are stocks within the semiconductor industry. They typically move in unison or have very close comparison. When one plays out well, the other one starts to do good, or if one's doing bad, then the other one kind of starts to do bad. So since AMD has been, performing pretty well, we have this assumption and idea that when you look at NVIDIA, it's been consolidating sideways, similar to that of AMD. But yet, NVIDIA still hasn't really broken up or made that bullish move that we so far seen on AMD. That being said, we think NVIDIA can move higher here. So if we look at this 4-hour chart, you're going to see that we're kind of coming off a curl. This is overall kind of a little bull flag in here. If you may, there's kind of like a little bull flag going on. We had it there, kind of broke up, but you have a little bigger one kind of here. So it's kind of a flag setup, and we think we're going to see NVIDIA moving higher over the next couple weeks. So we're going to be looking to watch NVIDIA long bias today and pretty much going on through the next week with potential targets as high as $595, which would be back to the all-time high here. So keeping a close eye on NVIDIA for long bias moves over next week or two. All right, so now let's go on to all the penny stocks today and give you an idea as far as what I would probably do with them. So EVK, really strong mover so far pre-market. It's jumped all the way up to previous price action resistance of 676. Currently, this is a 180-day, 4-hour time frame. Looking at this chart, we already know that the price is overvalued and we have targets back to the downside of 422. So even though it's trading up here, instantly, mind already says whether it's today, tomorrow, or next week, prices are going to go down to 422. When we look at the daily chart, the trend is all the way at 288. So over the next day, 3 days, 4 days, target is 288. Okay, it's not $5. It's not $20. No, target is back down to 255. We're overvalued. We're outside of trend. 90% of, actually, let me rephrase that, 99% of the time, the stock is going to move back down to this trend. So right now, target is essentially $3 on EVK. But for right now, intraday, you might have it play out as high as $7.80 currently. I will say this, the higher this stock goes up pre-market, the more likely it is to fall as a short or a bearish move out of the gates. So we're not really crazy on trying to be long EVK out of the gates for right now, since it's up relatively high. We would be more inclined to see EVK drop, come back down to say 498, and then bounce and go for a move. So there's no telling exactly what's going to happen for sure. But right now we do know that EVK is slightly overbought pre-market, not extremely. We know that the higher it goes pre-market, the more likely it is to sell off. So if we just stay consolidating sideways and don't move higher, it will actually make it easier for EVK to be a long out of the gates. Now, that being said, I'm going to say it's not really going to break up too much more, only because I know we're at the previous top of 776. Typically, we don't break out that move on a first attempt. What I mean by first attempt, stock went all the way to 676, it dropped, and we just came back up for the first time since then to break it. This would be first attempt to break, no breakout. That's typically what's going to happen, and that is one of the number one rules I have for myself in the trading industry, is to not try to trade long for a breakout on a stock when it's the first attempt move of breaking resistance, okay? So EVK overall, we're thinking probably bearish going into the open, and then maybe look for a dip buy after the sell-off down towards $5. Next stock on the list, LIZI. So LIZI was an early pre-market mover today. Pretty much we're suggesting that this is going to be a bearish move on the day, and the stock is ultimately going to sell off. And we should not consider to do anything long bias, but do a bottom bounce dip buy. Don't think we're going to have a breakout move on this. I could be wrong, but that being said, probably going to be more bearish overall in the stock, and then we would consider maybe doing a dip buy down at prices of like 390, 386. If we look at the daily chart on this stock has not yet gone over the blue line, so it's still capable of doing a move to 676. But in reality, we had popped up to a price of 480 here not too long ago. We sold off, and then we just came back up to the price of 507, which is pretty much the price of 480 for the first time since then. So in theory, today would still be a first attempt move of breaking out that previous resistance. Many times it's not going to do it. So initially we would think to trade bearish. And that's part of the reason why you saw LIZI sell off all the way at 509. We ran into that red trend line, which is resistance. This is a first attempt move. So you had first attempt move at breaking out, it should normally fail. You had 200 moving average resistance there, good resistance. And then you had your 2 standard deviation resistance. So you had 3 resistance marks, kind of telling you probably not going to break out over that $5 price on LIZI today. So overall, we're probably thinking mostly bearish to start into the morning. And then we look for consolidation, bottom hold, maybe at 384 for right now. If 384 breaks, then it's going to fade a little bit more to the downside. Okay. And those, ladies and gentlemen, were of pretty much the main penny stocks that I would say most people have been watching today. The other one that's out there is MACK, M-A-C-K. So M-A-C-K ran yesterday. This one is actually an easy to borrow penny stock, which I think is why we had such a good squeeze on it yesterday. So overall, still going to be watching this stock, but we're probably going to be a little bit more short bias on it overall. As you can see, if you look at the daily chart is over trend. So right now, target is still $5.46 on the downside. Our 4-hour trend is, well, we already hit it and now we're reversing back under. So we're thinking overall, you'll probably see MACK down to the price of $5.49 for right now. Okay. Now what we'll do is cover the major indexes like the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. So S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are pretty much into a new all-time high here, or very close to being into, well, no, excuse me, they are into a new all-time high, but they haven't really broken out aggressively into a new all-time high. But you can see overall, you have sort of a flag setup here. It's actually more of like a flat top triangle consolidation flag, whatever you want to call it. They're all really the same thing with the same outcome at the end of the day. So you have this little uptrending flag pattern. You will see that we are just slightly below this white trend line. That's where we've been stopping trend. So as soon as the S&P 500 can successfully get through the trending resistance of 367.54, whether that be today, tomorrow, next week, I don't know. But if it does, and when it does, that's when you're going to see the market actually break up with some aggressive steam. And when that happens, we could very well have a target of about $400 on the S&P 500. So right now, boiler room trading is basically giving the S&P 500 a target of $4,000 to $400. Over the next month, couple months, if in the event we can successfully break through this and then have no kind of crazy news that wants to drag the market down. So as everything stays ho-hum, and honestly, to believe it or not, I think we would. And the reason I say, in what I was saying, is we can probably get to 400 on the S&P 500 as long as no bearish news happens. But here's the thing. The way the market works is when stocks start to get high, bearish news happens. When stocks start to get low, positive news happens. I swear, that's literally the way it works. As soon as stocks start getting into good selling locations, naturally the sentiment is going to start turning a little bearish. It always happens. So overall, I think you're going to see the S&P 500 higher here with potential targets of 4,000. Now let's go look at the NASDAQ. If you look at the NASDAQ, it's pretty much the same exact thing as the S&P 500. Okay, or let's actually look at QQQ. It's a little bit better. All right, so we look at QQQ, pretty much the same thing as the S&P 500. We have essentially bounced all the way back up, and we are not on trend. So right now, the target for the NASDAQ is $308. Through $308 is where we're going to get a bigger move to the upside, and we might be able to suggest targets of, 342 on the Qs. So overall, we're still bullish on S&P, and we're still bullish on the Qs, and we're looking for them to get over their trending regression resistance, and that's what's going to push them up to, say, 342. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the breakdown here for you guys today. Hope you guys learned something new. Hope you guys enjoy the channel. We will have some more trades coming up for you guys later today if obviously the market permits. So with that being said, thank you guys again for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.